Hello everybody, my name is Nathan, and I am the man with a cartoon obsession. I've had a thought in my head for a long time now. More networks should dip their toes into animation. My prayers have been answered because a network has produced its first animated series. Before we get into that though, I would greatly appreciate it if you could take just a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more animation related content. We recently hit 500 subscribers, and I'd like to thank you all for that. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm hoping we can make that happen. Also, I recently got access to my channel's community tab, so make sure you turn notifications on to get updates on those posts, as well as when I upload a new video. Now that I got all that out of the way, let's get into my review of the new animated series, Pantheon. Pantheon is a sci-fi drama animated series that was created by Craig Silverstein. It's based on a series of short stories by Ken Liu. The series was produced by Cess Von Steen Productions, Titmouse Inc., and AMC Studios. It premiered on AMC Plus and High Dive on September 1st, 2022, and the first season ended on October 13th, 2022. The first season only consists of 8 double-length episodes, but a second season is set to premiere in a matter of months as of recording. Pantheon is notable because this is AMC's first animated series. Since this is the network that has produced some of the most popular and well-received TV shows of the 21st century, such as Mad Men, The Walking Dead, and Breaking Bad, I was extremely curious to see how Pantheon would turn out. Plus, Titmouse worked on the show, and I've made it clear that I'm a fan of their work. Before I talk more about the show, I wanted to throw in a spoiler alert just in case. The show revolves around the idea of uploaded intelligence. Uploading a person's mind to a computer so it'll live on even after the person's body is gone. The two main characters are Maddie, a high school girl who gets cyberbullied, and Caspian, a high school genius whose parents are always fighting. Maddie's father, David, is a test subject for the UI procedure, and Caspian is heavily involved too, but I don't want to say too much about that yet. What I will say is that this project creates a lot of complicated relationships and puts the world in danger. I'll go a little deeper into the characters now. Madison Kim, or Maddie, is a high school student who is having a hard time dealing with things. She lost her father, David, to a terminal illness 3 years prior, and the show jumps right in immediately showing her being cyberbullied. Having to deal with so much at once really makes me feel for Maddie, especially since her relationship with her mother is distant for a while, and she doesn't have any friends. She was closest to her dad, so when she lost him, that really crushed her, and she hadn't fully recovered. That is, until she learns that David took part in the UI project. Maddie's mom, Ellen, keeps it a secret from her because she doesn't accept it. As far as she's concerned, her husband is dead, and even though his mind has been uploaded, it's not him. Their contrasting views on the subject make for an interesting plot point when they're able to talk to David again. I like the Kim family's dynamic as a whole. Their relationships are complicated, but you can tell that they all care deeply about each other. Each one is willing to do whatever it takes for the sake of their loved ones. The other important piece of the puzzle is Caspian Keyes. He's also in high school, and he's incredibly intelligent. He tends to close himself off from everyone, mainly to deal with his parents' constant fighting. Without going into too much detail, we eventually find out that Caspian's whole life is a facade, and his parents aren't even his real parents. I have to commend the character's performance in this ruse, though. It's very convincing, and even when the details are slowly starting to be revealed, it's still believable. The other protagonists in the show are Lori Lowell, an investment manager who goes into a coma after a car crash, and she becomes the first UI test subject, and her husband Cody. I like both of these characters. They're both pretty important to the story, especially Lori as she takes a huge risk at one point, and that's one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. As for the antagonists, the main ones are the entire tech company known as Logarithms, and they're the ones behind the UI project. It was the brainchild of the company's late founder, Stephen Holstrom, and is now being headed by Holstrom's best friend and company CEO, Julius Pope. There are a lot of moving parts to Logarithms and their intentions, so many that I can't really do them justice myself, but basically this UI project is the start of a new life after life. The other antagonist is Shonda Vinod, a UI test subject from a rival company. He's uploaded against his will, and the process drives him insane. He lets the power corrupt him, and he believes that the UI subjects are gods. Watching Shonda's descent into madness is a little bit of a slow burn, but it's interesting. He still maintains his composure, but you can tell how crazy he is by the words he's saying more than how he says them. Transitioning into the voice acting now, I think it's well done. Most of the cast is made up of traditional film and TV actors as opposed to voice actors, but I still think they do a very good job. The standouts for me are Katie Chang as Maddie and Paul Dano as Caspian. These are the most believable portrayals to me, but I'm not taking anything away from the rest of the cast. All of the music choices made in the show are great. The score itself is good, but the show also uses a fair amount of licensed music. I know it can get expensive, and it could be viewed as lazy since you're using music that already exists instead of making something new, but I always like when shows do that. It's nice to hear a familiar song, or maybe even one that's new to you, especially if it fits with what the show is trying to do. In Pantheon's case, this is successful. On to the visuals, I've stated multiple times that I'm a fan of Titmouse. I really enjoy the art style. It's nothing new per se, as it does look similar to other shows I've watched, but it's a style that works, especially for a sci-fi drama like this. Lori is my favorite character design-wise. It's partially because she reminds me of Majo from Wasteful Days of High School Girls, but I liked her design before I thought of the similarities. Maddie and David play a VR game called Reign of Winter. I like how that world looks different enough from the outside world that it's easy to know which is which. The costumes give that away too, obviously, but I still like the subtle contrast in art styles. The animation itself is very good. The lip syncing looks off from time to time, but it's not that bad. There is the occasional scene in which the animation looks not cheap, but minimal. It reminds me of some scenes you'd see on 90s sci-fi or action cartoons. There are also some pretty cool action sequences that I wasn't expecting. The show does a good job at introducing the characters and the plot and easing into it. Well, at first anyway. More and more plot points and technological terms are thrown in constantly, so it can be easy to miss some details and it can get confusing. Just like how the characters have these fancy computer setups. They look cool and fit in with the theme of the show, but it's all far too technologically advanced for a simpleton like me. There is so much packed into each episode. It does get confusing, but it doesn't stop being intriguing. Even the terms or plot points I have trouble understanding usually get explained. The themes the show tackles are heavy and it can get dark. It can also get a little preachy, but it never feels overbearing. I also want to mention that the way the show ends is satisfying, but also open-ended enough to lead into that confirmed second season. After watching this, I can honestly say that I want to see more animated shows from AMC. This first attempt is a very good start, and I have a feeling they can make more animated shows that are just as good or even better. If you haven't watched Pantheon yet, I recommend it. The more eyes we get on this show, maybe the more inclined AMC will feel to make more animated series. As I said earlier, Pantheon is available on AMC Plus and High Dive. I noticed that some people were complaining about this being added to High Dive since it's not an anime. My thoughts on this are the same as when Crunchyroll started adding Western animation. It's more stuff to watch, so I don't have a problem with it. Plus, just because it's on a streaming service doesn't mean you have to watch it. People just forget about that and start complaining instead. Overall, I give Pantheon an 8 out of 10. This is a refreshing show, and it's a different experience from the usual world of adult animation. If you're into sci-fi dramas, and if you're into AMC's style of storytelling, then Pantheon is the show for you.
Now you can say holy shit.
Holy shit.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you have any other cartoons, anime, or other animated works that you want me to talk about in the future, please let me know. After all, it's not my channel, it's our channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to check out my social media pages, audition for an outro, and join the official Cartoon Session Discord. The links for all of which are in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
Hey fellas, did you miss me? I'm Bill Cipher, and thank you for watching Cartoon Obsession.